Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, time for another Metal Earth build, another one for the land of aviation. I have the B-17 Flying Fortress, and this has been a viewer request. I try to get to those as quick as I can. So let's put this together, let's find out how difficult this is going to be. I'm a little intimidated by the shape of the body, but I've been doing this for a while, I can handle it, right? Let's tear into this and see what's inside. The B-17 Flying Fortress. Let's tear this guy open. This is a model that I question whether or not it's on the easy side, but I'm kind of thinking not. What do we have inside? 2 metal sheets, a lot of larger parts, so maybe it won't take that long, and 1 sheet of instructions. And if we open that up, it's only 1 side. So this shouldn't be too complicated. Famous last words. And here we have the usual Metal Earth logo and the line drawing, the bit about insertion tabs, fold lines, insertion holes. We have the bit about needle nose pliers being helpful for assembly. We have the blue circle. If you see that in the directions, it means to bend a tab over 90 degrees to secure it. The green triangle means to twist the tab 90 degrees to secure it. And a little section here, if you pull and twist, it does make a more secure connection. And then down at the bottom of the first section, we have the layout of the metal sheets. Forgive all the creaking, there's a lot of people up there. The diagrams have the part numbers pointing at where those parts are, so you can find them on the metal sheets. And then if we slide over to this side, we have the start of the assembly flowchart, starting with part 1, round that a bit, add in part 2, you've got this, just follow the arrows, adding in the parts, shaping them as it says to do so. You get to what is the middle of the page here, and you go down to the bottom section and continue part 10 and the wings, and just sort of follow the arrows as best you can. This one's a little scattered in the way that it comes together, but this is a sub-assembly telling you how to build that to attach to that, and this part just kind of circles around. You get to the bottom here, you jump to this other quarter and just finish up the build. And at the bottom you have your completed model. Let's talk tools. I have a pretty standard set of tools that I use in most every build. I have needle nose pliers, I have flat nose pliers, I have flush clippers. These are a must for me. They clip parts off the sheets quickly and cleanly. I have a set of precision tweezers, one with a very pointed end, one with the pointed end ground down slightly, and flat set with a sort of curved tip, useful for twisting tabs in slightly curved areas. I also have a pretty standard set of tweezers with a flat angled end. These come in one of the Iconics kits, and I use them a lot. When it comes to shaping rounded parts, there are many options. I used dowel rods for a long time. I sharpened the ends of 2 of them with a pencil sharpener. These 2 are great for making cone shapes. Another option is a cheap drill bit set. This set has quite a few different sizes to choose from. Another option is a set of step mandrels. Marbles and beads are handy for shaping domes. You can get a mixed assortment of beads from a local craft store. Ring pliers or round nose pliers can be found with jewelry making tools and work wonderfully for curving delicate and or hard to get to areas. Some sort of hook and pick set can be handy. I like this very small dental style pick. Sometimes you have to pull things out of areas too small for fingers. These Kelly clamps or hemostats, I've heard them called several names, can be used to hold on to small parts while guiding them into place. They lock, so they won't let go. I do not use them much because they have teeth and you can scratch the part, but sometimes my hands are just too small. Curved needle nose pliers to me are very useful for bending over longer, thin areas that have obstructions that keep regular needle nose pliers from getting to them and being helpful. They can also be handy in tight places. We've looked at the instructions, talked about some tools. I've got a few here to get started. Let's put this together. I held the vertical stabilizer still with pliers while pushing the tabs over and around the front half. Part 4 has to have a slight bit of space inside to fit the tab. It was hard to hold it open while attaching it, so I had the idea to tear off some cardboard from the packaging to put in between to keep the part spaced open. Securing the tab while holding the part in place is a tough one. I used the pointed tweezers to pry the tabs apart by pushing in between them. I opened them up enough to hold the wing in place, then twisted the tabs. It took several tries. I used my smallest bead to start the curve on part 6, then finished the curve by bending a little at a time along the edge with tweezers. The instructions didn't really say, but they seemed to indicate that you should bend the tabs on part 9 inward to have the tabs inside the body of the plane. I didn't feel like having a headache, so I bent the tabs outward so that they would be easier to fold back and secure. I initially bent part 16 the wrong way. It took some time to work out an effective way to shape the engine parts. It is not simple. Using the flat nose pliers was not the best of ideas. This video has been edited down. I've not shown all the different attempts, adjustments, or retries of this build. I also clip out parts where I am studying directions, searching for and clipping parts, and sometimes repetitive steps. It may make this kit look like it comes together easier than it did, but there are a lot of bending and adjusting of parts to make things fit. Work slowly, be patient, and take your time. The underside of a couple of the engines was a bit too curved. I waited until the end to straighten out the propellers. I didn't want to keep straightening them out during the build and accidentally bend them, straighten them again, causing it to eventually break off. The B-17 Flying Fortress, an aptly named flying vessel because it is large. I seem to remember an episode of Amazing Stories involving one of these. You know, putting this together as small as it is, it kind of helps you appreciate the size of the actual thing with all these little gun turrets and just being able to see how small the cockpit is and how much room that had to be inside of this thing and how large this had to be. Now this build took about an hour and a half to do. The hardest part was definitely curving the engines properly to get them to fit. That was the challenge in this one. There was a little difficulty in holding some of the back wing pieces together and shaping the body, but the brunt of the difficulty was definitely in shaping those engines, and that took quite a bit of time. Quite a bit of trial and error. I show a lot of that here, but really not all of it. Once you get past that, it kind of speeds up, everything comes together, and you have a wonderful looking example of American engineering. I did enjoy this build. It's nice to enjoy it and not get overly frustrated. I don't know anything about the history. I'm not going to talk about the history because I'm not qualified to do that. So I'll leave it there. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. Thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.